if we look at emerging tech patents growth, that patent growth that we saw in the last 5 years was 2.3x higher compared to what we saw in the period of 2010 to 2015.
Cloud and digital continues to be the area. 20% plus was the growth rate last year, and that is continuing this year as well.
Hello and welcome to the May issue of nasscom Insights Tech Bytes. My name is Achyuta Ghosh and I am Head of Insights at nasscom, and I am your host today for this episode. Tech Bytes, what is it? For those who are unfamiliar, Tech Bytes is a monthly digest from nasscom Insights that includes highlights from our reports on the technology sector that were published the previous month. It also includes engagement sessions that were held, as well as a brief summary on the data, trends and strategies that stood out during this period. By clicking the link provided in the description box below, you can access our previous TechByte reports for free. The intention is to offer you, the viewers, a sense of what is happening in India's rapidly evolving tech industry. The first section is obviously what's new in nasscom Insights in the last few weeks, the key reports that we did. April is the start of our year, and it was apt that we begin with an outlook on the future of technology services. This report, titled Future of Technology Services 2.0, explored what to expect from the Indian tech industry in the next 12 to 18 months. We will spend some time on this report in the show later on when I call upon one of my analysts to talk more on it. We also released a white paper on cloud adoption in the government sector in India. In this report, we captured learnings from the cloud adoption journeys of various states and central government departments, including key trends and impact of cloud adoption, maturity of adoption across these departments, along with challenges that they have faced and recommendations to drive higher cloud adoption in the government sector. This is a free report and the download link is provided in the description box below. We also released a point of view on enterprise AI platforms titled Riding the Wave of AI, an in-depth look at platforms transforming business. This report is a refresh of a 2020 report on the same topic, and it explores the evolution of AI platforms over the past 2 or 3 years, covering areas such as ML Ops, low code, no code, conversational AI, intelligent operations, AI Ops, etc. This is also a free report and the download link is in the description box below. Last but not the least, we continued with our practice of sharing insights on the Indian patent filing landscape every year on World IP Day, 26th of April. This year's edition is titled Unpacking India's IP Ecosystem for an innovation-led future, and we will have one of our analysts again sharing more on this report later on in the show too. Okay, so we move on to the second section, which is the theme of the month, and in this following segment we will delve deeper into 2 important reports that we launched this month. For the first one, the Future of Technology Services 2.0, I would like to invite Namita Jain, Insights Practice Lead, to share some key insights from that report. Welcome to the show, Namita.
Sure, thank you, Achyuta.
Namita, first up, given all the macroeconomic uncertainty, what's the tech growth outlook looking like for the next 12 to 18 months?
Sure, that's a great question, Achyuta. If you recall, 2021 was an exceptional year when it came to tech spending. There was a lot of pent-up demand and new investments in digital. But 2022, we saw that sobering down. I think that's expected to continue in 2023 and beyond. We're expecting tech services spending to come down by 3 to 4 percentage points. Now, there's consensus even across the global analysts, the likes of JPMC, Nomura, Bloomberg, about how the tech services market will grow at 4 to 6%, while the Indian headquartered providers will clock about 8 to 10% growth rate in 2023. We went out and spoke to global CIOs, about 200 plus of them, as part of the study with McKinsey, and their indications were in line. About 70% of them expect economic slowdown in the next 18 months. Now, we are probably over the fears of major recession, but slight recession probably still on the radars. What that also means is this cut down in discretionary spend. About 15% of them indicated cutting that down. But the message was very clear that there is going to be spending on key initiatives, although at a lower scale and scope. But what does that really mean for CIO priorities? One, cloud and digital continues to be the area. 20% plus was the growth rate last year, and that is continuing this year as well. Second, a lot of focus on cost restructuring, cost takeout, operating model efficiencies, and that's also because hybrid model efficiencies will start to kick in. And the third is very specific tech bets, in areas which are resilient, and we call them technology hotspots, and some big bet value pools that is likely to happen. The other thing that is likely to happen, which will be a big focus area, is how CIOs will look at their vendor partnerships. A lot of them are looking at vendors who would do proactive deals. About 60% of them said 40% of the deals are likely to be proactive, which also means how CIOs are looking at transformational partnerships rather than very contextual or short-term ones.
Thanks, Namita. I think one thing that you mentioned, resilient hotspots, growth hotspots. Can you delve deeper into it?
Sure, and that's a very exciting area. We did that even in the first one, and a lot of themes have continued, but very, very clear messaging here. 3 major areas. One, going back to the fundamentals. Things like data and analytics on cloud, data engineering, getting the data governance right, cloud optimization right. Second big theme is on core technology areas and some long-term bets. For example, AI and automation, always in the focus, cybersecurity, but also things like metaverse, sustainability tech, the combination of 5G, edge, and IoT. Those are likely to be big value pools. Third big area is likely to be enterprise tech, things that are at enterprise scale, such as enterprise risk, observability management. So we've highlighted about 30 such technology hotspots across the study, which are likely to clock about 20% plus growth rate. Now, what that means for service providers is that they have to be a lot more at scale, efficient, and look at deals that add value to their clients.
Thanks, Namita. And viewers, if you want to know more about those 30 growth hotspots, please go ahead and download the report right now. Download link is in the description box below. Thanks, Namita. Thank you.
Thank you.
Now, for our next report in focus, Unpacking India's IP ecosystem for an innovation-led future, I would like to invite Neha Jain, Senior Analyst at nasscom Insights, to share some highlights from the report. Welcome to the show, Neha.
Thanks, Achyuta.
To get started, Neha, do tell us, what are the key trends that you see in the global and Indian intellectual property ecosystem?
Sure. So to start with, what we have witnessed last year, Achyuta, is that, there's a renewed focus on patent filing. So in 2021, there were 3.4 million patents which were filed, and this number has actually surpassed the pre-COVID number of 3.3 million, which was registered in 2018. Now, if we look at region-wise, what you have seen, Asia continues to lead, and it accounts for 70% of the share. Now, this high share is driven by, China, which is leading the patent filing globally with 1.59 million patents in 2021. What we have also seen, that women filers, the share of women filers, it has seen continuous increase since 2011, and which was also the theme for this year's World IP Day. So that is another trend that we noticed. Now, if you look at India's story, this story is not very different. And what we have seen is that, total 584,000 patents were filed from FY 2011 to FY 22. Now, 45% of these patents, or 266,000, were coming from various technology domains. Now, if we further break this number, we saw that 160K patents, or 60% of 266K, was coming from various emerging tech domains. Now, looking at the growth, if we look at emerging tech patents growth, that patent growth that we saw in the last 5 years was 2.3x higher compared to what we saw in the period of 2010 to 2015. So emerging tech patents are coming at the forefront. And if you look at specific technologies, AI and IoT were the key technologies accounting for majority of the share.
Thanks, Neha. I think some of the viewers may have been a little bit enlightened just to know that Asia accounts for the largest share of patents, and they're to China. It's not an European or a US domain anymore. Next question, Neha, to you. Can you share your thoughts on the key challenges that you see in India's patent ecosystem?
Sure. So before we move on to that, I would just like to share some of the facts that we have seen. These numbers, the growth in patents, that just says, we have seen significant improvement in patent filing. However, if you look at how we stand with respect to our global counterparts, there's a lot of gap that we still have to close. So some numbers that highlighted. If you look at patent application per million of population, we only file 20 patent application versus Japan, where we see 1,770 patent applications being filed in 2021.
Wow.
Yeah. And similarly, if you look at overall how many patent examiners we have, US has 14x more patent examiners compared to India. So obviously the machinery is also lacking. Now if you look at their experience, so an average experience of a US patent examiner is 2.7x higher in terms of years compared to an Indian patent examiner. Now again, going further, if you look at the time that is taken for a patent to take from filing till its final approval, grant or rejection, that average pendency time is 3x higher in case of India if you compare the same with Japan. So overall, if you look at all these gaps, we can clearly see the kind of challenges that they are there, and a lot of stakeholders we interviewed during our report also confirmed it. So the key challenges that we face are uncertainty with respect to timelines, for your patent, whether it's being granted or rejected. And then the whole patent filing process becomes cumbersome. There's a lot of lack of expertise, specifically with respect to technologies on the patent office front. Plus, there are a lot of hitches and glitches with respect to patent filing website. So I think those are the key issues that were highlighted.
Yeah, and to me, all those three challenges are interlinked. I mean, you solve one, you'll solve all the three, but you cannot solve one of them without solving any of them, right? So I think that's there. The next question, Neha, to you, final thoughts on recommendations that you feel that can help India really turbocharge its patent ecosystem and really get up to global standards.
Sure. So, what I believe is that all the stakeholders, we have so many stakeholders which form that ecosystem, they have to come together and work for the whole patent filing ecosystem to be a success. So if we go by specific stakeholders, there are certain recommendations that we have. So with respect to patent office, they need to formulate more clear timelines for each task in the patent filing process, both for the examiner as well as for the filer. So that's one key important thing. Then they have to work towards building expertise for the examiners. They need to work a little more towards supporting startups, MSMEs and academia, because they still need more support because they don't have that legal machinery that can help them. Now, there are certain legal clauses which are challenging when it comes to technology specific patents, and a lot of them have been highlighted on our report. So I think they need to address and work on that. They also need to resolve the issues with the patent filing website. I think that's one challenge that everybody is facing. So industry can also help, and they can help by supporting the patent office in training examiners, because they have the knowledge and patent office needs that knowledge. Right. Yeah. And legal counsels and law firms also need to upgrade themselves, with respect to various emerging technologies, because that's another challenge that people and organizations are facing. They're not able to draft the right patent applications. And finally, if I can say, associations and academia, they can work towards creating more IP awareness and, facilitate more stakeholder collaborations that will overall help in pushing all these causes together.
Great. I think all are great recommendations, and hopefully next year when we revisit this topic, we'll see some meaningful positive development in the ecosystem. Thanks, Neha. This was really insightful.
Thank you. Thank you, Achyuta.
Okay, the next section we have Naman, who heads marketing and community outreach for NASScom Insights. Naman is going to give us a quick synopsis of some of our recent thought leadership sessions and why you should watch them. Welcome to the show, Naman.
Sure. Thanks, Achyuta. So April was a very special month for us, Achyuta. We did 4 sessions. So the first session that we did was around the transforming GCC landscape in the telecom and networking sector. Our first tech talk, the session covered key mainstream and emerging technologies, critical themes of talent, location diversification, building a sustainable and inclusive culture. For this insightful discussion, we were joined by leaders from Verizon India, Cisco and Zinnov. Our second tech talk for the month focused on the future of BPM in the decade. This discussion included industry perceptions on how clients perceive a BPM provider, the strategic expectations of clients, key emerging technologies, challenges, if any, that need to be addressed in the current hybrid working models. For this discussion, we were joined by leaders from Datamatics, Infosys BPM, and StarTech. Our third Tech Talk in April covered the state of data science and AI skills in India. So for this particular discussion, we covered some pointers like major factors that are driving the data science and AI skills demand in India, key skills that are demand in India right now, typical challenges that the organizations face while hiring, what are the top 5 priority skills for people who are coming from adjacent roles. For this discussion, we were joined by leaders from Signity, Infosys, and WNS Global. Achyuta, we saved the best for the last, and that revolves around the Q4 FY 2023 or the Q4 FY 2023 tech industry results. For this insightful discussion, we had industry expert Rishi Jhunjhunwala from IIFL Securities, and with him we discussed what are the expectation in terms of the revenues and margins, the headcount, and the strategies that companies are following to retain the existing talent pool. Important deals that happened in that particular quarter, IT budgets in terms of CY23, and of course, perhaps the most important, the FY24 guidance or the outlook. So, that's a small wrap on the 4 sessions that we did in April.
Thanks, Naman. I think all the sessions are very informative. The links to the sessions are also in the description box. Request you all to visit them, view them, and share your comments. Thank you, Naman.
Sure. Thanks, Achyuta. Anytime.
Okay, for our last session today, I'm going ahead and inviting Prajwal Pandey, Analyst, nasscom Insights. In this section, we'll focus on themes that stood out this month in the tech sector.
Thanks, Achyuta.
So, what are the key trends that you see, Prajwal, in this month?
So, starting with IT BPM companies, the first trend we saw was partnering for CX, wherein we saw Indian IT companies, partnering with global firms to enhance customer experience in various industry verticals, including retail and telecom. The next best trend we found was digital transformation in banking. In this trend, again, we saw, Indian IT companies collaborating with global firms to enhance or, to digitize banking operations and support financial institutions in their digital transformation journey. Coming to the next segment, ER&D, the first trend we observed was ER&D experience centers. In this, Indian ER&D companies are setting up experience centers with collaboration from academic institutes to support and promote STEM education. The next best trend we found was academia partnerships. In this trend, Indian ER&D companies are partnering with academia to jointly develop solutions for EV industry in the country. Coming to startups, the first trend here is Stand Up India scheme. So Achyuta, let me tell you about this scheme. Over the last 7 years, this is India's flagship scheme wherein until now 40,710 crores of rupees has been sanctioned to 0.1 in million accounts. If we talk about the data that we have until March 21, 2023, 80% of this amount has been given to or sanctioned to women entrepreneurs. Coming to the next trend, drone startup surge. In this trend, Achyuta, we observed from August 2021 to February 2022, there has been an increase of close to 34.4% of startups within the drones or the UAV startup space. If we talk about the drone manufacturing industry, its yearly sales turnover could increase by close to 15x from FY21 to FY24.
Great. Thanks, Prajwal. I think these were all interesting statistics and trends. Can you also share some examples of industry partnerships and contracts in the Indian tech sector last month?
Sure, Achyuta. So starting with contracts, the first one is Happiest Minds and Nielsen IQ Brand Bank, partnering to solve product data and shopper experience challenges. The partnership will help NIQ Brand Bank leverage Happiest Minds' deep expertise in building agile and adaptive digital solutions. Talking about the next contract transaction that we saw was with Infosys Finacle powering Zag Bank's digital transformation journey. In this, Infosys Finacle suite will support both the retail as well as commercial banking operations for Zag Bank, and enabling the bank for a robust digital foundation to achieve its growth strategy. Coming to partnerships, we have Tata Elxsi signing an MOU with Indian Institute of Technology Guwahati for developing and commercializing solutions for the electric mobility market. Key collaboration areas will include digital analysis of electrical signature data for traction motors, which underpins EV mobility across segments, including automotive and rail. Another transaction we saw within partnerships was Infosys, launching the live operations platform in collaboration with ServiceNow to boost customer experience for telecom providers. Now, this transaction will not only help telecom service providers in a way to improve their operations, but also to optimize their operational cost and achieve their business KPIs.
Great. I think very useful trends. Prajwal, my last question to you is that, what were some of the key acquisitions that took place in the India's tech sector last month?
Okay, so I think this should be a big one because last month we saw Go Mechanic being purchased by Servizi, which is a consortium led by Lifelong Group. And this comes after Go Mechanic, laid off their 70% of the workforce. The Lifelong Group was founded in 1985 and operates in auto components production, medical devices, and the e-commerce sector.
Thanks, Prajwal. Thanks. And with that, we have reached the conclusion of this month's edition of Tech Bytes. I hope you found it insightful. You can download, read our reports by going to the NASScom website or community. And we hope you have enjoyed reading them. Keep checking back because we have a great lineup of reports to be released this month in May, covering a variety of themes, including mergers and acquisitions in the tech sector, technology startup investments, and the 4th NASScom Avasant Digital Enterprise Study. Do like and subscribe to our channel. Press the bell icon on the top so that you are notified as soon as new videos drop onto the NASScom Insights channel. Do reach out to us for any feedback and suggestions at research@nasscom.in, and of course feel free to comment on this video for a quick response. Thank you.